Well, who wants to listen to me?
Who doesn't want to listen to you?
Besides Ashley.
Ashley definitely wants to listen to you.
Yeah.
At CrossFit Lincoln, our passion is positively impacting and changing lives by creating a strong, brave, healthy community through education. We talk about nutrition, fitness, mindset, and more. From the Roro Flix studio, I'm Aaron Perkypile with Phil Kniep, Paul Konarski, and Emily Breedy.
This is CrossFit Lincoln Connections Home Edition. So I'm excited that you're here, Karen. We've been talking about in the 5 a.m. class for a long time having you do one of these, and it started as a joke, but then the more we hear your stories, the more it's like, this has to happen.
Oh, yeah. And I'm like, why? So anyway, yeah, we're here.
Yeah. So here's my question. Let's start with, how did you get started with CrossFit?
It was my son's fault.
Oh, man.
No, he was involved in CrossFit starting in 2009. He started in Sioux Falls as a junior internship, whatever, at Augustana. And so he started there. And I had been doing body pump at the rec club. That's how I met Ashley.
Awesome.
And so then CrossFit, he said, oh yeah, you ought to try it. So they had I always say, deal of the day or a Groupon or whatever. And so I did it, and I stayed. So I'm sure several times they would have wondered why.
So what year was that when you started?
That was December of 2011.
Okay.
So, and Paul started about the same time. We were over in the other building because I remember one day for part of the workout, we moved all the mats over to the new side. So.
So has it been it's been in the same like mall area or like kind of
right
location, just a different space?
The place across the road to the north, I think it's a mailing center now. Yeah. That's where it was initially. Okay. Wow. One of those small rooms back there.
Yeah. So it's your son's fault. What does your son do?
Well, he was involved with Sioux Falls CrossFit. He did his internship, and then he said, I'm going to get this level 1, and I choked when he told me how much it would cost. But then he continued on, and the people who ran the gym then moved back to California, and he was left in charge as a senior in college. He was. And because somebody else bought it, and they all kind of got started, and he literally ran that or managed it, whatever, for 4 or 5 years, and then decided that he needed to be something more than just a level 1, because anybody could. Yeah. So he went on and went to University of Northern Iowa and got his master's in strength and conditioning.
Okay.
And was heavily involved with CrossFit Kilo.
Okay.
Lived with Armin and Sarah and just being in the middle of it all. And so he said it was the best 1.5 years he's ever been able to just take some classes, teach some classes, and work out. So he was on their regional team in I forget, in Chicago, and he was on the B team. Yeah. And so they ended up 13th in the region. So they had a good year and stuff, but it's been fun now with those people to continue the relationship with all the CrossFit, the Kilo people. I see them, a lot of different places. So it's just another family. So he got
Right.
done with his master's, went back, and was at CrossFit Sioux Falls for a couple of years, and decided that he really wanted to be a wrestling coach.
Yeah.
So, because that's where he had started. So now he's the wrestling coach at Dakota Wesleyan in Mitchell.
Okay. Awesome.
Startups.
How's it?
And,
has he been enjoying that?
yes, it is. It's a challenge. It's literally starting a program from the ground up.
Really?
So it's been an experience. And of course now, and he had, he's got a couple people committed, and really the next group, the ones who will be seniors this year, but you can't go on a campus tour and you can't go visit. And so it's kind of a real tough time right now. He's trying to sort out what they're going to do.
Yeah. So you've been involved with CrossFit in a lot of different capacities as an athlete, and then you've judged local competitions, and then you moved into judging the regionals, and then it became sanctionals, and you've judged at the games or been a part of that.
No, I'm not judging. I'm counting. So,
well, but you judge at the gym during the Open.
Well, yeah, that's the only time I'll judge, because I hate to judge. And local competition, we were in Chicago, and 1 year, and the Sioux Falls team was there, group was there, and whatever, and everybody's all fun, but I was like, oh, I need something to do. I'm kind of So then it was like, oh, you can volunteer. So I said, oh yeah, and I want to do math. That's it. I just scoring. So because when you get all these people signed up for the scoring team, and some of them are like, oh, I'll just run cards, and they're all scared of math, and it's not that hard. Yeah. So we're always like, no, I'll sit there, I'll do the math, it's all good. So I started that in 2015.
Okay.
The first year I did it was in Minneapolis. And then, what do I know? And they say, well, you guys did really good. Would you be able to come and do the games?
Yeah.
So I was dumbfounded that they would ask you to do stuff like that. So I went, and so I have done regionals, the games, sanctionals, whatever, since 2015 every year.
And how many regionals have you done every year, or sanctioning, since it switched?
Well, it switched. So up until they got rid of them, it was just regionals. So that was once, and then you went on and did the games. Now, you can volunteer. So we kind of get asked as a group to come in and do. This year I did Wadapalooza in Miami, and a week later, because then I was like, oh yeah, the next one will be Columbus. Well, they got a hold of us and said, can you come and do the West Coast Classic? And so my schedule was flexible enough that I said, yeah, got the airplane ticket. And we were busy working on how we were going to do this event at 6 o'clock in the morning, and at 7 it was done. So kind of how this season is gone. I was scheduled to work the Rogue Invitational in May, and that was postponed and now has gone virtual. And unless they decide differently, they don't need our services. So then I was scheduled to do the Granite Games.
Sure.
Up in Minneapolis. That's new site this year. They were all pumped because it was at the Vikings training camp thing.
Yeah.
And that now has gotten pushed back. I'm scheduled to work the Asbury Park, New Jersey event in June, and we haven't heard anything, but
Right.
reality says, yeah, right, not
Yeah.
gonna happen.
So when they moved everything virtually, then what are they going to do? Are they going to have you still score those, or how are they involving you in that?
They aren't. From what I can tell, it's going to be, I really don't know how they're going to do that. Have the athletes do the event from wherever they are, and then they're going to stream it. I don't get that. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how it does work, but I don't really think that. I don't know how. So someone,
because they've talked about doing the games virtually as well, or at least Dave Castro hinted at it in a post this last week, and I'm curious
right.
to know your thoughts on, you've seen a lot of iterations of the games, because it was in California and then it moved to Wisconsin, it moved to Madison. You've been to different regional sites and then it changed to sanctionals, and just talk a little bit about how that experience has changed over the last 5 or 6 years then, because you started in 2015. How has that games kind of world changed and shifted from your perspective, since being able to have seen all those different places in those different kind of formats?
So it always was the local athletes, are you a regional athlete? Do you have the ability to compete at a regional level? And then because they used to, 20 teams, 40 individuals, or maybe I can't even recall the numbers. So there was a lot of opportunity for regional athletes, for local athletes to move up to that next level.
Right.
And then was, how well do you compete on that regional level? And in reality, I think, everybody knew based on the individuals that there are only a certain percentage that had a shot at those 4 slots. The same way with the individuals. People were able to get in as an individual, work their way up or into. And so that was, we've lost that regional athlete aspect. There really isn't any place for a regional team to work out at. There are some bigger events, Wadapalooza, the Granite Games, but now that the games have changed, and that we've got our 200 top whatever, and they have all the national athletes. That's a real experience. But the teams have become professionals. It's no longer the team from that gym coming in. It's like, you don't have to work out together on all the times, and you can have these 4 people or actually 6 people, and then if the one, then you've got that, but you've got all the, what I call them, the full-time athletes becoming team members.
Right.
And so that really takes away from the team aspect. That was always, and of course I didn't know the extent of all the individuals, but they were teams coming in. I'll just say, like Kilo, they all live there, they work there, and they put together some smoking teams just on local talent.
Right.
And we have people, Omaha has done the same thing. Back in the day when it's local. Well, now it's like, oh yeah, grab that guy from over there and that girl from over there, And, oh yeah, well, Sandberg's already qualified, but we can use her to qualify our team.
Yeah.
And then she'll go off and do her individual thing, and we'll bring our alternate in.
Right.
So there's a lot of gamesmanship on the team aspect. Individuals are still individual.
You have to do it or you can't, right?
Yeah.
You either can or you can't. With the team, it kind of lost some of that community feel.
Right. And the thing that you see or have seen is you can't hide on the teams anymore. You know, you always used to have, first year I was at the games, mayhem, I watched them carry this lady literally on the run. Rich was on one side and the other guy, and they just trucked her on because she couldn't keep up with the rest of them.
Right.
And, you know, you can't hide a soft spot anymore.
Right.
So that's probably the one thing. On the individuals, last year being the first year where they brought in all the national champions.
Right.
Wow. Just wow, you know, and I can appreciate that. You know, it was their first, maybe only chance to ever get there.
Right.
But yeah, wow. And
is it kind of like watching, if you go back and watch like the 2010, 11, 12, those first games, even like the first one in where it's kind of like you watch what they were not able to do, even bigger names. You got Spieler and Philippa and different names like that. And you're like, man, they can't lift nearly what they can lift now, obviously. But then you see the athletes that are professional athletes now coming in and just doing things that back then we would have thought to be just superhuman. And even now, I think they're superhuman, but
it is. It's just, you know, how the athletes themselves have progressed in the skills and those things that we would never expect and what they keep adding. You know, I last year at the Invitational in Columbus, they had a biathlon.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
Because they had to run, they had to do stuff, and then they had to stop and shoot.
Yeah.
And from 3 different positions. And so it was an interesting, but it's just the unknowable, I guess. That's what it's always been about. So
what has been your favorite games year from the games that you've worked?
Oh, I have to say, you know, just going to Madison, just the change. California's California, I'm sorry. But Madison, if anybody's been there, it's all these people. And we have to move from venue to venue, and we got to be among the people. When we were in California, we were down in the Bat Cave on the walkway from the tennis stadium to the soccer field, and we never saw the people.
Yeah.
Where and then I think it's when it went to Madison, you started to see the international flavor.
Yeah.
These people are not speaking English, folks. They all came from somewhere else, and you know, it was that concept. So just the fact of going to Madison made it more realistic, more touchable. You know, you could see not just the athletes, but the community of CrossFit, all the people.
Right.
So I always am set back when I go to Miami, because now there's somewhere else where not many people speak English or they speak it with an accent, and and that's just a day-to-day. It's just being able to get around it and see different parts of the country and the people. Yeah. But you know, we see the same competitors all the time in close proximity, and so but any chance I get to just sit and watch close up and, you know, have Brent Fikowski, you know, keeping track of of Vellner's time, and he's got his watch out, and we're watching him how he's doing it. So so it's just an opportunity to do things like that.
Yeah. So what events or what age group have you been scoring at the games mostly?
I really do the age group, people, the teenagers and the masters.
Okay.
And of course, hey, those are my people, man. Yeah. And so that part's been good. And then to just watch the teenagers, the up and coming, to watch Haley Adams as she's progressed from a teenager to, a really good team and individual athlete. And, to try and remember, who was the little girl she used to compete against all the time, but she's still doing team events. And it's fun to watch people. And of course, having Phil there a couple of years ago in the Masters, having Patty Fela from Omaha, the close. So just having everybody like that close and I really enjoy my people.
Have you seen a lot of Masters repeat where they come back every year?
Yeah, there are. I want to say, because they were listing off all of the ones who've made it back. So yeah, some of them have been going from the first year. David Hippensteel, he's the guy with the long flowy. Yeah, he's there every year, and God, last year he didn't win it, but he usually is. He's up there. So yeah, you watch, Becca, help me.
Voigt?
Becca Voigt, she's gone through the individual, and then she was Masters, and she went back to be an individual one year, and now she's back to Masters.
Right.
So, and watching Sam Briggs as a Master, that was an interesting last year. So yeah, it's fun to watch them all. And hey, who were you kidding? Everybody's going to start wearing bifocals. So, because they have already at the games. So
yeah.
I watch all the judges and everybody got their glasses here. Can't see like we used to.
You're going to have to start handing those out in the swag bags for staff and athletes.
That's right.
CrossFit Games branded bifocals.
Obviously, yes.
You grew up in South Dakota?
Yes.
What part of South Dakota?
Winter, South Central, sort of north, between Ainsworth and Valentine, north of there. So, grew up back in the day when girls didn't do sports. So, and the only thing there was to do if you weren't one of the 4 cheerleaders, well, then I rodeoed. So, we had horses. We grew up with horses, so I rodeoed. That was it.
So did you barrel race?
Yes, but I was the first state champion goat tire in South Dakota. Yeah. So, but yeah, rodeo, that's what you do if that's all there is. And I always think, God, if I could have done sports, I really would have enjoyed that. But you do what you can, and that's all there is. So I've always tried to pretend I was athletic.
Yeah. So goat roping or goat tying, was that similar to calf roping?
Well, no, the goat is staked out, and you run your horse down and get off, flip them, tie them. And
so you don't have, is it just a 3, you have to just tie 3 legs?
3 legs. Yeah. And so
you didn't have to rope it.
Nope. No, they're there, but boy, they run around. You have to know how to get the goat so he doesn't run around just So it's it's been quite some time.
So if I was going to take a movement from CrossFit and turn it into goat roping, what movement would you say is similar?
Goat tying. No, it's not goat roping.
I'm sorry, goat tying. You're right. Goat roping is grotesque.
They're really, nothing. I mean, yeah, you ride your horse, you get off and step off like they do the calf ropers, off on one side, grab the rope, run down the rope, flip, tie. So yeah, I don't know.
But you were state champion.
Yeah, the first time.
The first time ever.
First time ever. Yeah.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Do they still have goat tying?
Oh yeah, and they're a lot faster too.
What was your horse's name?
Oh God, I don't remember. Red, probably.
Yeah.
So, and then I did that in college, and then still tried to be athletic, but it was tough to play basketball against girls who had played basketball in high school and were a lot tougher and knew all the little tricks. So, or volleyball, we did intramural sports. So intramural football was probably the only thing I was good at.
Yeah.
So, but
so then over the years, then you talked about doing body pump and then now CrossFit. Sounds like you stayed active. What kind of other things did you do to be active through high school, college, and kind of between when you
not high school, college so much, but after I got out, I thought I could run. And then I had my first knee surgery. Then I started biking, and because when one lives in Iowa, one must do RAGBRAI. So that other affectionately known as a week's ride across the state of Iowa with 20,000 of my nearest and dearest friends. So I did that for 17 years.
Really?
And yeah. And so, yeah, I just rode my bike. I up to 3,000 miles a year,
Wow.
know. You can't do that around here. You can, but when I moved here, I went, nah, bike riding's not the same.
Yeah.
These drivers are looking for you. So, yeah, I don't really do that anymore. But then, there's more gym opportunities. So starting to go to the gym and body pump, I really liked. And, but again, I knew there had to be more than just coming in and watching the ladies in the back talk and not do anything. So, and then they'd go to coffee because they hadn't sweat and they hadn't messed their hair. So it's always good.
So it's a little bit different when I make you take a picture after everybody's working out and everybody's sweaty and hot.
Yeah, you get what you get.
Oh man. So what keeps you coming back then?
The girls, just the fact that I can, and I know it's so good.
Yeah.
Being an elder statesman, that, yeah, I watch people come into the hospital and I go, oh my gosh, they're younger than me. Or as I was at the grocery store yesterday, and if I ever have to use the cart to help me walk, please shoot me. So I don't want to ever be there. So it's those things you have to do. And I know I can't do everything, but that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just staying active and being able to pick up heavy things and do what you can.
Do you still surprise yourself?
Yeah, I do. In a way, I'm always like, oh, I want to go more. And then I'm like, well, we're not doing too bad. And yeah, there are things, again, shoulder surgery, shoulder mobility, my knees. Yeah, I know where it is. But as long as I can keep up and I can remember, if I'm scaling a workout and an RX person is doing that, if we are finishing about the same time, it's good. That's a good, that to me, it should be, that's what scaled is. It isn't that I'm done 20 minutes before the rest of you. It's, I went out and I did as much as I could, as hard as I could, and got done about time they did. So
yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
that's great. Well, I know that when I post bright spots, I'm still putting your name on PR lists on a weekly basis almost.
Well, as long as we're not going overhead, yeah.
Yeah, well, your deadlifts, your back squats, your PR on those, and
and that's those are, and I have no speed, so snatch is out. I still have fairly fast elbows on a clean, but it is what it is. But it's always something to work for, because there's never when I go, I don't know, I got that, I don't know. It's just like the other day when we were doing the single leg deadlifts, and I was flailing around trying to get my balance. When I finally put my foot down and just balanced there, then I really felt the whole posterior chain work hard, and that's what it was for. It isn't, and I balanced myself, because that's always a challenge.
So I really appreciate your perspective of scaling and just not like discounting a workout, and because you did what you could do with the movement that you're able to make, with the amount of speed and like strength that you have. I think that's a powerful message for people. How long did it take for you to get to a point where you didn't feel like you were somehow shortchanging yourself or shortchanging a workout because of the scaling? If that makes sense.
I never feel that way.
Good.
I can do pull-ups at whatever, but in one of my master's groups, they said, for those of us who've had shoulder surgery, a kipping pull-up is not something we should be clamoring to do, because that really can mess up what you've got. So I can, a couple, but that's always been, I think if I can do what I can as hard as I can, as correct as I can, that's it,
Sure.
Getting stronger, not hurting anything.
Right.
So.
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll shut it down for today. I definitely want to get you on again. I'm going to ask for people to submit questions next time. And I know that some of the ladies in the 5 a.m. crew have some questions that they need to answer.
Oh, I can tell stories.
And that's what we want. We want more stories. But thank you so much for taking time out today to talk to me and to share with the CrossFit Lincoln community and even people outside of the CrossFit Lincoln community. Do you have anything you want to share with anybody or give a shout out before we leave?
No, rock and roll.
Rock and roll, baby. Thanks for being in class all. Yeah, see you in the morning, and thanks for being there all day, or every day this last week, even though you dropped off on Friday quick.
I have to do a Karen day, so.
Yep, it's all right. It's all right. It was good to see you anyway, and thanks for dropping in and saying hi.
All right.
We'll catch up again another time. All right, Karen, thanks a lot.
Yes, sir. Bye.
Bye. I like those posters behind you, though. Those are sweet.
Right. Thank you. I got those last year at the games. Can you see them?
Yeah.
And so, they had like, pick your favorite athlete. Well, I only care about the girls, so I do have an extra Sam Briggs if anybody wants one.
Well, we'll let everybody know that.
Yeah. So they were, you know, when I think when CrossFit, they said they'd get rid of a lot of stuff, so they gave us stuff like that, so we could have as many as we wanted.
Nice. So who's the one with the red behind you?
Margot Alvarez.
And then the yellow is Sam Briggs?
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Great.
I had gotten, Kathy is a big fan of Annie Thorsdottir, so
Yeah.
I had gotten her one.
Very cool.
So